After getting laid off, I moved back into my childhood home while I looked for work. My father told me, rent's $400 a month, no exceptions. My room had been turned into storage. I slept on a cot in the laundry room. One day I came home and my laptop was gone. My brother said, "We pawned it. You were behind on rent." When I protested, my dad snapped, "Don't act like you're better than us." That night, I packed what little I had left. 6 months later, they called me selfish for not inviting them to my wedding. Last year, I got laid off and had to move back into my parents' house in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I hadn't lived there in over a decade, but I didn't have many choices. I'd worked at a mid-size logistics company in Louisville for almost 5 years, and one Friday afternoon, they called everyone into a meeting and laid off the entire department. No warning. No severance. Just, "Thanks for your time." I thought I'd bounce back quickly. I had a decent resume, some references, and I wasn't afraid of hard work. But the job market wasn't what I expected. I applied to everything: shipping coordinator, warehouse manager, even night shifts at grocery stores. Nothing stuck. After burning through my last $2,000 in savings, I picked up the phone and called my dad. He answered after 3 rings. "Hey, Dad. I lost my job. I was wondering if I could stay at the house for a little bit. Just until I get back on my feet." There was a long pause. "You can stay," he said, "but rent's $400 a month. No exceptions." That was it. "No, how are you holding up?" "No, we'll help you figure this out." Just a price. Like I was a stranger. Still, I said okay. I didn't have another choice. I packed my stuff into my car, mostly clothes, my laptop, some books, and drove 3 hours back to the house I grew up in. I was tired, embarrassed, and more than a little scared. When I walked through the door, it was like I'd stepped into a different world. The place felt darker, messier. The living room was cluttered with junk. I could barely walk without stepping over stuff. I asked where I was going to sleep. My mom waved toward the laundry room. "We turned your room into storage. You can take the cot in there for now." I opened the door and saw a narrow space with a small cot wedged between the washer and the furnace. The room smelled like wet towels and dust. I said nothing. I just put my bag down and sat on the cot. It creaked under my weight. The next few weeks were hard. I woke up early every day to apply to jobs. I used my laptop constantly, fixing my resume, sending emails, doing virtual interviews. I even got a few side gigs tutoring high school kids in math, which brought in maybe $100 a week. Not enough, but something. I always handed over what I could. One month, I only had $300 for rent. My dad took it but didn't say a word. The silence told me everything. Then, one afternoon, I came back from tutoring and something felt off. I went to the laundry room and looked around. My laptop was gone. I checked under the cot, behind the dryer, nothing. I went into the living room, where my younger brother Mike was playing Xbox. "Hey," I said. "Have you seen my laptop?" He didn't even pause the game. "Yeah. We pawned it. You were behind on rent." I froze. "You what?" He shrugged. "Dad said it was fair." I walked into the kitchen and found my dad at the table reading the paper. "You pawned my laptop?" I asked, my voice shaking. He looked up, calm as ever. "You owe rent. We needed the money. That laptop was how I was applying to jobs. How the hell am I supposed to work without it?" He set the paper down. "Don't act like you're better than us," he said. "We're all doing what we can." That sentence hit me harder than anything else. I wasn't acting like I was better. I was trying to get out. I was trying to survive. And they took the one tool I had left. That night, I packed what little I had. A few clothes. My phone charger. Toothbrush. That was about it. I didn't say goodbye. I just walked out. Slept in my car at a truck stop that night. The next 2 weeks were rough. I was living in my car, eating fast food once a day, using public Wi-Fi to send out job applications from my phone. I landed a job interview in Knoxville, Tennessee. A friend of a friend let me sleep on his couch for a few weeks while I got started. Eventually, things got better. I found a job working for a delivery company. Nothing fancy, but steady. I saved up, got my own apartment, and kept pushing forward. After a while, I met someone. Her name was Callie. She worked at a pharmacy, and we just clicked. She didn't care about my past, only about who I was trying to be. A year later, we got engaged. We planned a small wedding. Just a few friends. I never even thought about inviting my family. Not because I was being spiteful, but because I didn't want them there. I didn't want to look over my shoulder and see the same people who treated me like a tenant instead of a son. Who stole from me. Who watched me sink and did nothing. The wedding was quiet, beautiful, and full of peace. Then, the text started. Apparently a cousin saw the wedding photos on Facebook and told my parents. The first message came from my mom, "Really? You got married and didn't invite us? After all we did?" Then my dad, "Selfish little bastard. You're not family anymore." And then my brother, "Figures. You always thought you were too good for us." I didn't reply. I didn't want to. But deep down, I kept hearing that one sentence. "Don't act like you're better than us." And I realized something. I wasn't better. I just didn't want to be like them. A few days after the wedding texts, I got a message I didn't expect. It was from my cousin Melissa. We hadn't talked in years. She was my mom's sister's kid, used to come around every Christmas when we were kids. Her message was short, "Hey. Just a heads up, your parents are telling everyone you cut them off for no reason. They're making you out to be a monster. I thought you should know." At first, I didn't care. Let them lie. Let them say whatever made them feel better about themselves. But then I started getting messages from people I hadn't heard from in years. Old family friends. Distant relatives. Even one of my mom's church friends tracked me down on Facebook. One by one, they all sent the same kind of message: family is everything. You shouldn't turn your back on the people who raised you. They gave you a roof when you had nothing. How could you do this to your own mother? I sat there reading them one after another, my stomach turning. None of these people were there when I was sleeping next to a damn furnace. None of them helped when I was hungry and applying to jobs from my phone in a Taco Bell parking lot. Then came the kicker. Melissa messaged me again, "Just FYI, your mom's been telling people she pawned her jewelry to help you out. She's acting like she sacrificed everything to support you during your hard times." I saw red. She pawned my laptop. She made me pay rent to sleep on a cot. And now she was making herself out to be a martyr. I didn't want drama. But I wasn't about to let them rewrite the story to make themselves the heroes. So I posted something. Not long. Just a short, public post with a photo of the laundry room. That same cot. Same mildew-stained wall. This is where I stayed when I was taken in by family. Rent, $400 a month. They pawned my laptop when I missed one payment. Just to be clear. It exploded. I didn't expect it to, but people shared it. Commented on it. Some were shocked. Others said I was being dramatic. But then a few people started chiming in, friends from high school, a few ex-coworkers, even Melissa. "I remember that house. Your parents always treated you like the black sheep. He's not lying. They were cold to him even back in school. I was there when he came home and found the laptop gone. I thought it was a joke. The lies started to unravel. That's when my mom called. I didn't pick up. She called again. Then my dad. Then Mike. 10 calls in one day. Finally, a voicemail from my dad. You had no right to drag our name through the mud like that. You think you're some kind of victim? You should be grateful we even let you in our house. You're acting like some entitled little punk. Don't bother showing your face here again. And then, nothing for a week. Then I got served. A notice. Certified mail. My parents were suing me for defamation. Apparently, my little Facebook post embarrassed them enough in town that my dad lost a few regular clients for his small handyman business. My mom got dirty looks at church. They wanted $10,000 in damages. I laughed when I first read it. But after talking to a lawyer friend of Callie's, it stopped being funny. Sure, the case had no real legal ground. But I'd have to show up in court. I'd need to get a lawyer. It would cost me time, money, energy. They wanted to bleed me dry, one last time. And that's when I decided something. If they wanted war, I'd give it to them. I started gathering everything. Texts. Emails. Old rent receipts. Even a bank statement that showed I transferred $400 every month like clockwork, except that one time I only had $300. I found photos I'd taken of my setup in the laundry room, some with the date stamp visible. I pulled up my cloud backups and dug out every job application and email I sent during those months. Callie helped organize it all. She didn't ask questions, just said, "We're going to win this." But the real break came from Mike. He messaged me one night out of nowhere. "Can we talk?" I almost ignored it, but something told me to respond. We met at a cheap diner off I-65. I got there early and sat in the back, where nobody would overhear us. Mike showed up 10 minutes late, looking worn out. His hair was longer, his eyes were red like he hadn't slept well in weeks. He sat down across from me and didn't say anything at first. Then he finally looked up. I didn't know they were gonna take it that far. The laptop thing? That was Dad's call. He said you'd never get a job anyway. Said you were lazy. I didn't respond. He kept going. After you left, things got weird. Mom started telling people you ran out on them. Said you refused to pay rent. But I saw the cash. I saw the envelopes. You always paid something. She's telling everyone you screamed at her and threatened Dad. I clenched my jaw. Why are you telling me this now? He looked away. Because Dad's dragging me into it. He wants me to testify. Said I had to back up his story or move out. I'm tired, man. Tired of pretending. You didn't deserve any of this. He reached into his coat and pulled out a flash drive. I backed up their messages. Some voice recordings too. From when they were planning this. I didn't ask how he got it. I just took the drive, nodded once, and walked out. My lawyer nearly fell out of her chair when she heard the recordings. One was a conversation between my mom and Dad in their kitchen. You could hear the TV in the background, muffled, but their voices were clear. "Dad, he embarrassed us. Hell, if we play this right, we might get some money out of it. Court won't care, he's got no proof. Mom, he's always been a drama queen. Let's see how much he likes being the one under pressure for once." My lawyer filed a countersuit the next day for harassment, false claims, and emotional distress. We included the flash drive as evidence. That's when things really got ugly. A week before the court date, my mom showed up at my apartment. I opened the door and just stood there in shock. She looked tired. Older. Like someone had deflated her. "Can we talk?" she said quietly. Callie stood behind me. I glanced at her, and she gave a small nod. We let my mom in. She sat on our old thrifted couch like it was made of nails. "Didn't touch the glass of water Callie offered." "I didn't know your dad was going to go that far," she said. I laughed. I couldn't help it. "You didn't know. Mom, you were in the recordings. You talked about squeezing money out of me." She looked down. "I thought, you'd come back. That maybe if things got messy enough, you'd have no one else." That hit me harder than I expected. I asked her straight, "Did you ever love me? Or was I just another thing to control?" She didn't answer. Just stood up, walked to the door, and before leaving, she said, "You could still drop this. We're family." I didn't respond. She left. 3 days before the hearing, something else happened. Mike called again. This time, he sounded panicked. "Dad's trying to move money out of the business. He thinks you'll win and he's gonna have to pay you. He's transferring stuff to a friend's name." We handed that info straight to the lawyer. She brought in someone from the state attorney's office. Now it wasn't just a civil case. It was financial fraud. They didn't show up to the court hearing. My lawyer walked in with a mountain of evidence. The judge looked through everything. After 30 minutes, it was done. Case dismissed. Our countersuit moved forward. But that was just the beginning. Because now, the state was investigating. And Dad? He had no idea what was coming next. 3 weeks after the court hearing, I got a call from a detective with the Kentucky Department of Financial Institutions. He'd reviewed the evidence my lawyer passed over and wanted to ask some questions. We talked for nearly an hour. I told him everything, about the rent, the pawned laptop, the lawsuit, and the shady money transfer my brother told me about. 2 months later, my dad was arrested. Fraud. Tax evasion. Attempted extortion. Turns out, this wasn't the first time he'd moved business money into someone else's name. He'd done it years ago with an old friend who later sued him when it went south. That case got buried under settlements and silence, but this time, the state wasn't playing around. When they raided his place, they found fake invoices and a second set of books. He tried to claim it was all a misunderstanding. That he was just a simple man who didn't know how to manage money. But the paper trail didn't lie. My mom. She wasn't arrested, but she got subpoenaed to testify. I heard through Melissa that the church she loved so much asked her to step down from the volunteer board. Nobody said it to her face, but word spreads in a small town. She'd been crying in the pews most Sundays. I didn't gloat. But I didn't feel bad either. The judge ruled in my favor for the countersuit. My parents were ordered to pay me $25,000 for damages. Between the lawyer fees, the court fines, and Dad's failing handyman business being seized in the investigation, they lost just about everything. Their house was put up for auction to help cover restitution. Mike moved out and cut ties for good. He texted me once, "I should have stood up for you sooner. I'm sorry." I forgave him. He helped when it counted. A month after the ruling, I got a handwritten letter in the mail. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting. "I don't expect you to forgive us. But I hope one day you find peace. We were wrong. I see that now." No signature. Just that. I kept the letter. Not out of sentiment, but as a reminder. The last time I drove through Bowling Green, I passed the old house. It was boarded up. The yard was overgrown. A "for sale by bank" sign was crooked in the ground out front. I didn't stop. Instead, I drove home to Knoxville. To my wife. To the life I built from nothing. They said I wasn't family anymore. They were right. Family doesn't break you down when you're at your lowest. Family doesn't take what little you have and tell you to be grateful. I didn't lose them. They lost me. And I never looked back.